I was putting up about 20 to 30 products per week. I actually got my first sale on day 3. For those who don't know, I actually documented this whole process, like day 1 to 116. I took a video almost every single day, kind of just sharing live updates. I was sharing screenshots of my shop. And on day 3, I had my first sale, which was great. There's 50 people searching for this a month, and there's zero competition. And I can scoop up, say, even 20% of them. 10 people buy my $5 thing. I like to think of these each as a little mini passive income machine. Like that's $50 extra per month, and that 50 adds up.
The path to $1,000 a month with digital products. Money doesn't grow on trees, but you do know that you can plant your own money seeds. And by the end of the episode today, you're going to have a path forward on how to do just that on one of the biggest marketplaces in the world. This is the Side Hustle Show. It's the business podcast you can actually apply. Today's guest is a longtime listener. He's a serial side hustler, real estate investor, digital product seller, online course entrepreneur from Gold City Ventures and the Fi Show. Cody Berman, welcome to the Side Hustle Show.
I am very excited to be here, Nick, and talking with you today and hopefully drop some knowledge bombs on the listeners.
Yeah, you bet. It has been a long time coming. We've got 3 rounds with Cody today, including Donate a Business Idea. But we're going to start with his latest side hustle, a brand new Etsy store that started last summer and a few months in was earning $1,000 a month. And now, Cody, you're known online as like the printable sellers guy. And my understanding is you get an email or you get a comment that says something to the effect of, sure, it must be nice having started in 2018, but what about us? What about today when the marketplace is so much more crowded, all the good niches are already taken, and you're like, okay, challenge accepted. Let's do this. Let's start a brand new store and see what we can do with this.
Yeah, so as a online content creator, I'm sure you're no stranger to this, Nick. There are haters out there. And so you get hateful comments on all your videos, all your podcasts. There's always one. And someone on, I think it was in a YouTube video, or maybe it was a short, they said something to the effect of, well, of course you were successful. You did this in 2018. The Etsy market's so different now. You could never repeat your success. And I'm like, okay, buddy, like I can do this. I'm going to repeat my success. So I started a brand new shop, didn't tell anybody about it, didn't post it on social, didn't market it to my email list, didn't mention it on the website, like completely in a silo, blank from scratch, and was able to get that shop up to $1,000 per month in revenue in 116 days.
Love it. Love it. So we're going to break down how that works, starting with the, maybe the high level of, well, what am I going to sell? How do I figure out what the demand is, the keyword research behind that, or the product creation strategies behind that? But where do you start? What do you say? Like, okay, I'm looking at this blank slate. What kind of product could I sell?
The best thing with your audience, and I am catering these answers specifically to some people who are already entrepreneurs or side hustlers. If you're already a side hustler, look at what you already have and what you're already using. So some easy examples. If you're someone who's in the personal finance niche and you already have this amazing debt paydown tracker, or you already have this amazing net worth tracker, or maybe you have a tracker for your side hustles, you can very easily just kind of white label it, templatize it, and flip that. And now instead of just a product that you're using for yourself, like a random Google sheet, now you can actually go and sell this thing on marketplaces like Etsy. And I've seen this work so many times over. We're both podcasters, Nick. I'm sure you have a media kit or something that you can send to potential sponsors like, hey, here's my downloads, here's my stats. So a couple years ago for the Financial Independent Show, my podcast, we put together like this really extensive media kit. And I'm like, well, I just spent all this time on Canva making this like awesome media kit. What if I just white label it and resell it as an editable media kit? And it sold a bunch of times. So there's so many examples that side hustlers like us, people who are already doing something entrepreneurial, you might have resources in your own life that you're using that you can just easily repurpose, turn into a template, and then sell to other people. I mean, there's been 6- and 7-figure businesses built off this stuff. I was actually on a real estate show a couple weeks ago talking about digital products and printables. And you look at a company like Bigger Pockets, and they're selling all these different calculators and spreadsheets and things like that. I mean, that's probably adding 6 or 7 figures to their bottom line, just basically taking one template for a thing that they're already doing and then white labeling it and then reselling it to hundreds of thousands of people in their case.
Yeah, it's an interesting, selling your sawdust type of example where it's like, I already created this thing, and the ideas I've kicked around is like a habit tracker or a podcast production checklist planner or sponsorship tracker. There's all sorts of these different tools that you may already be using. It may be an incremental revenue stream to the business that you already have, the side hustle that you already have, or it could be a completely new thing that is kind of a standalone entity. So it sounds like the new shop was more of that standalone type of variety.
Yeah, the new shop was more of a standalone. I just wanted to mention the use what you already have because that's often the easiest place to start. Now, if you're someone who's listening, you're like, well, I don't already have a side hustle. I don't have any awesome spreadsheets or any cool tools that I'm using myself. For this new shop, here was my basic strategy. So I would just brainstorm a giant list of potential ideas. This would be from my own head. I would also use ChatGPT to come up with ideas, although it's hit or miss. And then once I would have like a massive list of product ideas, and these could be anything from, I should probably define what printables are, digital downloads, just so people aren't just thinking abstractly about this. So printables and digital downloads is basically a digital file that you create in a program like Canva. You'd then upload that digital file into your Etsy shop. When someone buys it, the digital file would automatically be delivered to the buyer. So I already mentioned some of them, like a media kit template, for example, but other ones like checklists, planners, calendars, games, invitations. There's thousands of different types of printables. So just wanted to set the stage what printables are. So I create this massive list, like literally 250 different printable ideas. Again, these are just things that I think maybe could make good printables, or things that ChatGPT thinks could make good printables. And then once I have that monster list, that's when I start to plug them into like a keyword research tool. So for Etsy specifically, ones I use are eRank and Everbee. If you aren't as familiar with Etsy, or even if you want to sell outside, like let's say you want to open up a Shopify store or WooCommerce, you can use other keyword research tools. Maybe you already have Ahrefs, or maybe you already use Ubersuggest, or maybe you're using some of these other tools. Like you can use any keyword research tool is what I'm trying to say. I will plug those 250 different ideas into the keyword research tools to see, one, if there's search demand. Are people actually searching for this thing that I want to create? And two, is there a ton of competition? Because the last thing I want to do is compete with everyone and their mother on some generic digital product that I'm probably not going to stand out with because, again, everybody is selling it. So that was kind of my general strategy, my 10,000 foot view of my strategy for this new Etsy shop.
Okay, no, that's helpful. And even I remember talking with Debbie Gartner, who was selling all these different games, like holiday-related trivia games. And there's like, once I've got this template, well, just lather, rinse, and repeat toward the next holiday that's coming out. It was like, I was able to create dozens of these different things, which I thought was really creative. And then we talked to Becky Beach as well, who really leaned into this ChatGPT for product creation. And I remember prompting it like while we were live on the call, like, what are some side hustle related digital printables, digital products? And it actually came back with some decent suggestions, business planning template, side hustle budget template. It was like, oh, this is not bad. One thing I wanted to get your take on was the idea of static printables versus a customizable spreadsheet file, where my gut is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is like the customizable spreadsheet thing may be able to command a little bit of a higher price, like higher perceived value for the end user.
You could definitely charge more with editable printables, and especially just the bigger the printable in general, the more you can charge. If you have a bundle of a bunch of resources, you're going to be able to charge more than just for one of those standalone resources. So to answer your question, yes. But with that being said, if you do have just like a simple one pager that you're selling for $4, $3.99, $4.99, you can probably make a ton of different variations very, very quickly. Whereas a Google Sheet, a very complicated, say, personal finance tracker with a bunch of tabs, is going to take you a whole lot longer to create different variations of that. So for me, I actually tend to lean on the side of simpler printables just because I can pump out so many different variations. And for me, and we can get into this new shop, it was a numbers game. I was just like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what would sell.
In eRank, and it looks like they have a free version, which is somewhat limited to 5 keyword lookups per day, but pretty affordable plans if you want up to 200 keyword lookups a day. So just to get an idea there of filling demand versus creating demand. Obviously, I want to go where there is some search volume versus like trying to create demand from scratch. If nobody knows you exist and you create some random product that nobody's looking for, it's a recipe for disappointment. Nobody's ever going to find you on Etsy. So in these tools, are there certain metrics? I don't know if they spit out like a like TubeBuddy will give you a metric. Oh, this keyword variation on YouTube gave you like a 95. Like, okay, it's got a good mix of search volume and competitiveness. Is there a metric where you're like, yes, this is worth going for?
It's not a numerical score, but they do make it very easy and color coded. So on eRank, I don't know if you're, sounds like you're on the website, for example. If you type in a keyword, you'll see the search volume and competition. The search volume and competition both range with like a color coded scale. So for search volume, green means a lot of people are searching for it. Yellow is like a medium amount of people are searching for it, and red means not that many people are searching for it. Conversely, for competition, if it's red, that means a ton of people are competing on that product. If it's yellow, not as many. If it's green, that means there's like no competition for that product. Like you might be one of the few players selling that thing. So I typically in an ideal world, I'd love to be green, and we call those unicorns at Gold City Ventures, where you have like a ton of search volume and no competition. Those are very difficult to find and few and far between. I usually, and especially for this new shop, would create something that has usually yellow search demand and then green competition. So not many people are competing on it, and like a medium amount of people are searching for it. So that's kind of the two metrics that I pay closest attention to in these keyword research tools.
Okay, all else being equal, go where there's less competition. It's going to be easier to find some eyeballs and some buyers that way.
Yes, and I love the phrase "the riches are in the niches" for this side hustle specifically, because one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is they'll go on and they'll just try to sell a very generic printable or digital product. I always use a thank you card, for example. If you type in thank you card to eRank, you'll see the competition is through the roof. Like it's so bright red. Every single person on Etsy tries to sell like a thank you card. But if you niche down a couple layers, and instead of just a generic thank you card, you have maybe a first grade teacher thank you card. You have a soccer coach thank you card. You have a ballerina instructor thank you card. Like these, now that you're niching down a couple layers, you're competing with far fewer people. And so, and even from the buyer's perspective, like getting closer aligned to what the person is searching for, they're going to have a higher likelihood to buy. Like just imagine somebody who's buying a thank you card for their ballerina teacher, and they type in ballerina thank you card. They're going to choose your ballerina thank you card over just, Joe Schmo's generic thank you card. So it's much more aligned with the buyer. And again, you're competing with less people because the riches are in the niches.
As Canva gets better and better, do you find that like people would just go and make it themselves? It's always, and I ask the same question to the spreadsheet sellers. It's like, who doesn't know how to make a spreadsheet? Who's buying this stuff? But like what's your take on that?
It's convenience at the end of the day. I mean, a lot of it is a skill gap as well. The average person does not know how to use Canva. If we took a poll of a random 100 people on the street, I don't know what percentage are actually going to be able to know how to create like a nice looking invitation in Canva, but probably not a huge percentage of them. But the ones that do are often willing to trade 5, 10, 20 bucks just for convenience and not having to spend their time on it. Like I can easily go out and mow my lawn. I pay a guy to do it because it's convenient. I have the time. I have the skills. It's just like I'd rather pay him to do it than do it myself.
Okay. And so first grade teacher thank you card, ballet teacher, school bus driver. Okay. So now my thinking is, well, once you have this template, okay, I'm going to swap out the clip art or swap out the graphic, and the rest of it is kind of the same. So it makes this product creation process, once you have that base template, really, really fast. Where the next challenge comes in is in the shotgun approach or this listing approach to put all this stuff up on Etsy, because they're going to charge you their 20-cent fee. Not a ton, but it does add up if you're really trying to upload 100 products, 1,000 products. Like what was the volume of products that you had to put up there to start seeing sales?
I was putting up about 20 to 30 products per week. I actually got my first sale on day 3. And so for those who don't know, I actually documented this whole process, like day 1 to 116. I took a video almost every single day, kind of just sharing live updates. I was sharing screenshots of my shop. And on day 3, I had my first sale, which was great. I think I probably only had 5 or 6 products up at that point, but I was adding like 20
and that's cool
to 30 a week
because there's not a lot of
process.
Social proof on the channel, where it's like, so
none.
It shows 0 sales, 0 reviews.
Zero reviews.
I'm taking a chance on this guy. Yeah.
That's the beauty of this side hustle, though, is you don't need an audience. You don't need an email list. You don't need really anything. Like if you understand keyword research and SEO, that is the most important skill. You can be a 5 out of 10 graphic designer. A lot of people think they have to be like this graphic design wizard in order to sell this stuff. You can be a 5 out of 10 graphic designer as long as you understand keyword research and SEO, and you go after the riches in the niches, and you go after those kind of longer tail, less targeted keywords. People are going to buy your stuff. Like I'm still not a great graphic designer, maybe a 6 or 7 on a great day. But I'm not the best graphic designer. I'm just really good at keyword research and SEO. So if there's someone looking for a dinosaur themed thank you card for like boys, like a boy themed, dinosaur themed thank you card, like, and I see that, I might not be the best designer, but if I'm one of the only few people selling that thing, the people who are typing that into the search bar are going to come find me. And the cool thing about these keyword research tools, let's go back to eRank, for example. If I type in thank you card, eRank's going to spit out all of the things that people are typing in, all of the different variations. So it's not just me guessing, using your examples from earlier, it's not me guessing ballet teacher, school bus driver, gym coach. Like, eRank will actually tell me there's 116 people every month searching for gym coach thank you card. There's like 187 people searching for a ballet. There's 450 people searching for nurse thank you card. Like, it'll actually give me the data, and I'm a very data-driven decision maker. I don't like to just make things willy-nilly, which was a mistake I made when I first started the side hustle back in 2018.
Yeah. Is there a minimum search volume that's too low to bother with?
I usually don't touch anything under 50. And some people think that's crazy. Some other Etsy quote unquote gurus don't touch things that are under like 200. But for me, I'm like, if there's 50 people searching for this a month and there's zero competition, and I can scoop up, say, even 20% of them, 10 people buy my $5 thing. I like to think of these each as like a little mini passive income machine. Like that's $50 extra per month, and that 50 adds up. Like if you can get an army of these $50 per month products, even if they don't have a lot of search volume, you get 20 of those going. That's $1,000 per month, and mostly passive income.
Yeah, it goes back to the beginning of planting these little digital money seeds. It costs you a little bit of time and 20 cents to create this thing, and now it's out there in the world and can earn passive income for you. I think that's really exciting. Now, the deliverable file itself, this is a PDF. This is like a link to a Canva template. Like, I know I don't want to get too in the weeds, but like mechanically, what does that look like?
Yeah, so it'll be a PDF, and for I'll call it done for you printable, one that's not editable, it would just be a PDF file. So if you were buying, say, a checklist or a planner from me, you just might get the checklist or planner delivered to your Etsy inbox, and then you download it and then you use it. For an editable file, you'll have a PDF, and then you'll have a hyperlink on that PDF. Like it could be to Dropbox or Google Drive or to Canva itself if it's an editable thing. Like there's editable files via Canva. There's another program called Cordial and Template. There's a bunch of these like editable design softwares, and then on the deliverable PDF, you just have like a URL. So they click, edit my template, and then they can go and edit it.
Okay. Got it. That helps. But and this is all automated. When somebody hits the buy button, then Etsy sends them this thing that you have set up on the back end.
Everything is automated. I like to say it's a 95% passive income side hustle because about 1 in 20 people will message me asking for clarification with a purchase. They're like, oh, I can't access my template or this or that. So about, again, 1 in 20. So 5% of the time I'll have someone message me and ask for some specific advice, which I've built like a bunch of what they're called quick replies in Etsy. So I can just basically like click, here's how to download your editable file. And then I don't have to go type it out every single time.
Yeah, frequently asked questions, text expander or keyboard short. Yeah. Okay.
Same exact thing.
Yep. I was going to ask if you're leveraging AI on the product creation side at all. Yes, there's some element here on the ideation, but then to make the thing itself, is there any sort of like prompting ChatGPT or even Canva to be like, I'm looking for a printable file that does this, this, and this?
I have done some experimenting, but honestly, for the printables that I'm creating, again, most of these are simple type printables that I can then pump out a million different variations based on different niches and holidays and trends and things like that. I do not use AI to create printables. Another reason I do this is because you do have to disclose in your Etsy listing, like this is AI generated. There's no hard data on this, but my gut just tells me like they're probably slightly lowering the like SEO juice, the algorithm for these types of printables. If someone's just putting up like 1,000 printables in a day and all of them you have checked off like this was made by AI, just something tells me that Etsy's probably weighting that a little bit less than the algorithm. Again, I don't have hard data on this. It's just that's just my gut feeling.
Yeah, there's something about the Etsy community too, where it started as a handmade marketplace, people doing business with people. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you're correct on that. Where it's like, well, we're gonna, diminish those in the listings just a little bit, but
just a little bit.
Okay, so we talked about product creation. We talked about the power of templates. Once the listing is live, or maybe any listing best practices, obviously we want to put the primary keyword in the title of the listing, the description of the listing. Anything else that you found to speed up that process, or product images that you found to work well, pricing points that help? Do you have to price low when your shop doesn't have any reviews? Like, what have you found here?
So I'll start with templates, because we did talk about product templates. Like, you just take the base template. Let's use a thank you card, for example. And then you could go create a million different variations of thank you card. We mentioned that before. What I didn't mention, though, is that you can actually have the entire Etsy listing as a quote unquote template. So if I'm going to create, let's say I already have a Father's Day card in my Etsy shop, and I want to create a Mother's Day card, I can literally duplicate the listing, and then I just go back into Canva. I just like change the listing images. I change the actual product itself. I change some of the tags. I slightly altered the description, but I can actually use a lot of the same features from that initial listing. So for me now, if I were to actually do that using this real example, like if I were to have a Father's Day card that I want to make into a Mother's Day card, it would probably take me like 15 to 20 minutes total. I might, on the actual design, change the colors from blue to pink, and I'm obviously going to change the word father to mother, and some other changes like the tags. You can use 13 tags per Etsy listing. I would change some of those to be specific to the holiday, but using the entirety of your Etsy listing as a template is something not many people do. Like, even the listing images you were just asking about, Nick, yeah. I have 8 listing images that I'm using for all my products, and it's just drag and drop. Like, I'm using Canva templates, using like the frames feature. And so when I create the new product, I'm just like dragging and dropping back into those same templates. So I'm not having to recreate the wheel every single time with my listing images. In terms of what works.
Yeah, go ahead.
In terms of what works, clarity is key. So something I see new sellers do so often is it's either their title or their description or their listing images, especially that main listing image. I like to think of that as the gatekeeper to sales, because like if someone's scrolling through Etsy, let's say they type in Mother's Day card, and your listing image doesn't attract them at the start, even if you have the best product in the world with the best title and the best description, and you have an ugly main listing image, you're not going to make the sale. It's the gatekeeper. It's kind of like a thumbnail on YouTube. Like, you need a good thumbnail to get people attracted in clicking into your video. Now, once they get in, there's a whole bunch of other different things that you can do to make them convert. But if they don't get in the first place, then you're screwed. So I like to say that clarity is key. Like, you want your title to be exactly what the person is going to get. You want that main listing image to be very clear on what that person is going to get. A concrete example from our community, someone posted a couple weeks ago. They're like, hey, this is my first listing. And they were making holiday gift tags. I think it was gift tags for Valentine's Day. And for their main listing image, it was like an 8x5. It was an 8.5 by 11, just like letter size sheet of paper with all of the gift tags on it. Like, it was very unclear what the actual product that the end user would be getting. So we in the community were like, oh, actually, it would probably make a lot more sense if you were to mock this up and like show this gift tag on an actual Valentine's gift, and it's a lot more clear what the end user is buying. So clarity is key, and far too many people make the mistake of just like having this like abstract, maybe they're trying to like keyword stuff in the title or the description, or their main listing image just looks weird. There's too much information on it, and it's kind of difficult to tell what the person is getting. The less confusion that your buyers are going to have when they see your product show up in search, the more likely they're going to buy.
And because people are still buying convenience, you're not worried about, well, just, if it's a simple printable and I just literally gave it away, like there's an image of the thing, not really worried about that because it's a different buyer mindset than the do-it-yourselfer.
So to be clear, it's not just a PNG or a JPEG of the finished product. Like, that's not the main listing image. It's usually mocked up. Maybe there's like a nice like wood background or something like that with shadows. So you're still showing exactly what the printable is or what the digital product is. But you're not just giving it away. You're not just like having the PDF as the front runner, the showcase of what the product is. Because to your point, you don't want people just going in, screenshotting it, and then printing it out and using it. That's not what I'm recommending at all.
Okay, what do you recommend? I mean, how do you show it without showing it?
Okay, let me try to think of a good example. So let's just I'm using thank you cards a lot in Mother's Day and Father's Day cards. Let's use a Mother's Day card. So a Mother's Day card, I might have the 5x7 card, like at an angle, kind of with like a shadow effect on it to make it pop, on like a wooden background or maybe on a table with flowers in the corner. And so it's not just the piece of paper. Like it's a whole mock-up.
Sure.
So like if someone were to go in and try to like screenshot at it, like, and try to crop it, it's not going to look great. It's not going to look great.
Okay.
They're just going to pay the $4 or $5 for the finished product. So that's what I mean. Like you are showing the entire printable or the entire digital product, but it's not in a way where someone can just like screenshot it or download it and use it immediately.
Do you use Etsy ads at all? Are you relying 100% on just the SEO of these listings or the search volume that's there?
For this Etsy challenge, I tried not to use ads for the beginning part when I made it to $1,000 per month. But after that, I was like, okay, no holds barred. Let's see how much I can pump up this revenue with ads. And it was actually like the week before Christmas. And I started pumping up my ad spend like $100 a day just to see what I could do. Because Christmas is huge. Holidays are huge on Etsy. And so with this new shop, I spent just over $900 in 10 days on ads. And that ended up bringing in an extra $2,200 in revenue. So like $1,300 in profit if I can do live math on a podcast. So I do use ads. I use ads in my main shop. I was trying to use ads very sparingly in this new shop until I hit that goal because I didn't want people to be like, well, the only reason you got there was because of ads. I was like, no, I'm getting here because of keyword research and SEO. But then I turned the ads
but
dial
also,
up
if
to
ads
10.
work, if ads work, what's the? I mean, I'll trade 900 for 2,200 all day.
I also, yes, ads do work if done correctly, but I also didn't want to teach people the wrong lessons. If people think that they can just solve problems with ads, what I like to say is ads buy you eyeballs. So if you already have a product that's converting, like people are already buying your product here and there, sure, you can throw some ad money at it, see if it works. But if you just have a shop full of stuff that's not selling and you're paying for ads, all you're doing is buying more eyeballs that are probably not going to buy the thing because it doesn't have any proof of conversion. So like, I don't want people to think or get the idea that just spending money on ads is going to solve their problems. And all of a sudden, this side hustle that's bringing in zero for them is going to be $1,000 per month overnight. Like you have to do the hard work of the keyword research and the SEO and figuring out what buyers are searching for. Then once you figure that out, then you can start experimenting with ads.
Does Etsy give you data on, you had 1,000 views on this product and 50 people bought, so you had a 5% conversion? Like do you get any of those metrics, or what's good, or what's a good benchmark?
Yeah, Etsy does give you those metrics. I like to be anywhere between 3 and 5% conversion rate on visitors. So I was actually, when I was publicly documenting this, I was like, okay, I'm getting 100 visits a day. Hopefully that means 3 to 5 sales. And it actually did end up being around that. So basically, to hit my goal of $1,000 per month, I needed to get somewhere between like 175 and 200 visits a day. And so I'm like publicly tracking. The first day is like 12 visits. The end of the second week's like 25 visits. But yeah, that's a good benchmark to get back to your question. Like 3 to 5% conversion rate is awesome.
But even then, to be able to put something out onto the internet and get views, even if it's just 10, 12, 20, in the first couple of days, like compare that to starting a brand new blog and shouting it to the void of the internet. Like Google's not going to rank your brand new site, right out of the gate. No. Like I think it's an important contrast to draw. Some of the other Etsy sellers that we've talked to have been trying to collect emails from their shop. Oh, get a free bonus template when you enter your email here. And they're trying to wean themselves off, or maybe build up their own traffic source to their own self-hosted storefront or their own Shopify store for digital products. You doing any of that, or is it just like, I just want to take what this marketplace is going to give me?
With this new shop, no. I really wanted to just focus on Etsy generated traffic, so I didn't do the email list stuff. I didn't really lean into ads. I didn't do social media for it. For my like main business, Gold City Adventures, absolutely. Like we are collecting email addresses, using printables as lead magnets, which is something I was going to talk about later today. But yeah, in my main business, I'm all for it. But the reason I started this new shop was like I don't want people to think they need all that stuff, because you don't. You really don't. Like you just need the keyword research and SEO. But if you do want to scale this and build a bigger business out of it, definitely go for it. Like there are tons of ways, and I listened to those other episodes you had with Debbie and Becky. There are great ways to get people on your email list, whether that's with a freebie or like a bonus or a bundle or other ways. And then you can obviously, once they're on your list, you can then sell them similar products to what they've already bought. But it's not a necessity. You don't have to do that to be successful on Etsy.
Yeah, or work your way up the value chain. Well, you bought this, so the next thing you might need. Yeah, lots of different marketing things you can play around with once you get going. There was a question I wanted to ask. To the extent that it matters, do you need to have your shop niched down? Like, this is, the thank you card emporium, and that's all we sell. Or could it be a little bit broader? Or do you find that matters?
I find that it doesn't matter much. Now, if you're someone who it doesn't make any sense, like let's say you started a shop for Side Hustle Nation and it was all about side hustles, but then all of a sudden you started throwing like wedding printables in there. That might just make your audience be like, what the heck, Nick? What are you doing? So if you already have an established brand and you want to be like, the thank you card guy or girl, or you want to be like the personal finance guy or girl, then it might not make sense to branch out. But for the average person, it's totally fine to have a whole hodgepodge different types of printables in there. And Etsy actually has what's called sections in your shop. So you could silo different stuff. You could be like, oh, here's my thank you card section. Here is my planner section. Here is my editable template section. And so you can silo them off like that. But just in terms of buyer behavior, most people aren't like searching for a shop and then browsing the shop and seeing like what's good in there. Most people are typing a product into the search bar, seeing what shows up on search results, and then clicking, buying that product, and then they might not ever see you again. So it doesn't really matter if you have a whole bunch of different stuff in there.
That's fair. That's probably consistent with my own Etsy buying behavior. It's search and discovery, and I don't know if I've ever reordered from the same shop again. It's like they solved my problem, and now I'm gone. But we've also seen,
what are you buying on Etsy, Nick?
We have a cool map downstairs that says, adventure awaits. It's like this cool like watercolor map. We've bought other gifts on there over the years, like little like maybe birthstone jewelry stuff. So a few purchases. Not a prolific Etsy shopper, but I've spent some time on there. But I'm kind of inspired to throw up some of these templates. I have to clean up some of the templates that I've been using. But there is a Side Hustle Nation shop with I think a handful of t-shirt designs up there. But it's I've failed to prioritize it very well. So I'm excited to maybe take a crack at it this year.
Why not? Extra revenue stream. And for someone like you, we can talk about this later or now, but anyone who's an entrepreneur or side hustler, having an Etsy shop it's kind of a different way of advertising, right? Instead of spending money on, say, Facebook ads or Google ads or YouTube ads, or like this is a way you can get people into your ecosystem. Like let's say you had the Side Hustle shop and someone downloads your side hustle tracker or your big list of side hustle ideas. They might not have ever known you before, and you're getting these people. Not only are you getting paid to acquire them as customers, like you're not paying like a Facebook ad or a Google ad or a YouTube ad, but you're building goodwill with them. Like if you deliver something of value, if you have like this rock star side hustle income tracker that's like $5, you got them into your ecosystem, you figure out a way to get them on your email list. Now you've already built a good rapport with them. So now when you launch, some kind of a side hustle course or a membership or some other bigger digital product, like they're already gonna be like, oh, this guy already delivered so much value for me with this little $5 printable that he sold me. And so, it's like a great entry point into your business with these printables. And Etsy is a great search engine to get people into your ecosystem who might have not gotten there before.
Yeah, the side hustle business planning template. We came across some people who were doing this for like kids' summer businesses. Like, here's the, we want to teach our kids entrepreneurship. Here's the lemonade stand, business plan template that they would buy and like make their kids fill out. It's like there's probably a ton of these. We'll plug these into eRank and see what we can get. Now, at the time that this episode is airing, Gold City Ventures is in the middle of their semi-annual ePrintables course launch. So we can link up your you reference to that in the show notes for this episode at sidehustlenation.com/Cody, Cody. And we'll be right back with more with Cody in just a minute, including his business idea donation for Side Hustle Show listeners right after this. All right, we're back with Cody Berman from The Five Show and Gold City Ventures for round 2 in this episode. Round 2 is your business idea donation. This is something you think listeners could run with. This is something that you might start yourself if you had more hours in the day. What have you got for us here?
I even have a name for this business for your listeners, Nick. I'm hoping,
Love it.
I'm trying to scratch my own itch here. I'm hoping that someone creates this. I don't have the time. I don't have the resources. I don't have the connection. It's called The Hub, and it is an all-in-one business service for entrepreneurs. So this is legal, accounting, a development team, marketing, HR, everything that you could possibly want as an entrepreneur, all packaged into one. And I'm sure you have felt these pains, Nick, where you're looking for, say, a new accountant, or you're looking for a legal team. It's like pulling teeth. I'm asking all my mastermind groups. I'm posting in Facebook groups. Everyone's giving you different recommendations. You don't know who's good. It's so much. It's so much. And as we've scaled up Gold City Ventures in our company, like there's just all these different pieces in all these different places. If someone were to develop the hub, like we'd pay literally, I'm not even joking, we'd pay like $5,000 a month for that to get rid of all of the other individual people that are like tangentially attached to our business, just to have like this one awesome rock star team in place. And obviously there'd be different tiers. Maybe a new entrepreneur is paying $100 a month. The more developed businesses are paying $10,000+ a month. I don't know, but I would love for someone to do this because it has been so difficult and so much work for us to like to find those key players that, again, we don't have the expertise. Like we're not developers, we're not legal, we're not accounting, we're not HR, but they're important people. They're important people that you need to make your business succeed and to be compliant. So I would love if someone took this idea and ran with it.
Okay, talk me through this. So are we thinking like a directory of sorts of like, here are the top legal professionals that deal with online business, e-commerce. Here's the top accounting professionals that know this type of business. Kind of like, Sam Parr from My First Million.
Sam's List, right?
The Hustle.
Yes.
Yeah. So he was doing
Yes.
something like this for accountants, right?
Yes. So not that. What I want is, and this is why it's so difficult, you need some kind of attractive reason for these people to want to work directly with you. Like if I'm paying the $100 a month, $5,000 a month, whatever it is, whatever your scale of business is, I would want them to just assign me like, here's your lawyer, here's your accountant, here's your dev person. And they're just kind of at your beck and call. Like if you need a funnel completed or you need like a website thing done, you just hit up the dev guy that's already part of your package and he does it for you. Or if you need a legal contract, you have like a new joint venture that you're doing, you hit up the legal team of the hub subscription that you're already a part of and they take care of it. So not a directory, because I think directory is still kind of, you have to go through the hard work. You have to interview a bunch of people. You have to pick one, get recommendations. That's not what I want. I've been there, done that. I want them to just like have really high quality vetted people that I can trust, that I can just give them these tasks that I don't want to do or don't know how to do.
Okay, so I'm now understanding it better as a kind of like a on-demand fractional agency, fractional support.
Basically
for
fractional everything. Yes.
Yeah, fractional everything. Okay. Yeah. It's like, it's not worth having somebody on staff full-time or even part-time, but like there are needs that come up for
Exactly.
legal, for technical stuff, and say, I want a resource in my back pocket to go to do that and not have to, somebody else does all the vetting and I don't have to go out and ask friends for recommendations on here. I just like have a membership to this thing and people are standing by ready to help me out.
That's it. If someone did this well, I would pay. And I'm sure a lot of other people would pay. I talked to a lot of other entrepreneurs who have the same pain points. People would pay a lot of money for this if it was done well.
Yeah, when I had the virtual assistant site, there were, especially in the overseas companies in India and the Philippines, they would kind of promise this, like, oh, you need web development done, you need funnel building done, you need copywriting done. Like, hey, look, we've got it all in-house. We got the experts to do this design, whatever you need. The question mark is always the quality component. And so that's kind of where the vetting comes in. Of like, well, how, and the level of trust.
How tight is this legal contract again?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right, that's the hub, the all-in-one business hub for entrepreneurs. Now you've got that business idea as your next side hustle that you can run with that. Let's go to round 3, the triple threat. The first component of this is a marketing tactic that's working right now. This does not have to be Etsy related. This could be related to any of your other businesses.
We kind of touched on it before, but one that's working and it's worked for years is printables or digital downloads as lead magnets or low ticket offers. And we discussed a little bit using the side hustle Etsy shop as an example, but it's just such a great way to get people into your ecosystem. It's almost like a tripwire product. I don't really like that term too much because it sounds like you're tricking people into buying something, but it's just a great way to get people exposure to what you've got, like what you've got to offer. And if you can wow people out the gate with something either free, like a lead magnet, or cheap, like a low ticket offer, maybe it's literally $7 or $17, they're going to be so much more prone to purchase whatever other things you have to sell, whether it's a course or membership or services or whatever, one-on-one coaching. They're going to be so much more prone to sign up if they already know that you're someone who delivers value.
And you're able to sell these on Etsy? Is that the primary strategy, or is it just through your website? Like where are you finding eyeballs and buyers?
For Gold City Ventures, it's a whole bunch of things. So not so much Etsy anymore, but especially, I shouldn't say that. We do have a lot of people who come from Etsy, but like most people who join our email list are not from Etsy. But so we have affiliates who promote our stuff. We use SEO, like we have a huge blog and YouTube channel, and we're doing paid ads. So like there's a whole bunch of different ways that we're getting people to download these lead magnets or buy these low ticket products. But again, it's building that trust.
Now, we did a really fun episode with Pete Boyle, who has his $1 product challenge. And his argument was like, yeah, you could build your email list with a bunch of free lead magnets. But the question is, are you building a list of subscribers? You're building a list of buyers. And he's like, that $1 barrier was enough to really accelerate sales of everything else that he had to offer. He's like, obviously, I'm not going to make a living off of this $1 product, but it led to, in his case, led to higher ticket consulting business. It led to higher ticket digital product sales too. But just that little hurdle, that little bit of commitment, and we talked about people who pay attention. And if you can wow people, you deliver 10x or 100x the value for that $1 thing, then all of a sudden that level of trust really skyrockets.
Absolutely.
All right, that is our marketing tactic: digital downloads as lead magnets, low ticket offers. Figure out what you might be able to create. And probably what Pete recommended was working backwards from your core offer, or peeling out a piece of that solves some initial pain point, and like, okay, what's the natural progression of somebody going through this? If they ultimately are going to need your full service, what's a logical first step there? The next question here of the triple threat is a new or new to you tool that you're loving right now. We mentioned eRank, we mentioned Everbee, we mentioned Canva. We've had a few different tools here, but what else have you got for us?
Something I started using way too late. So I've been using ChatGPT for a while, but I hadn't really experimented with custom GPTs. I think I actually heard you talk about this on a podcast. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nick. But now I have custom GPTs for couple of different use cases where like I have a custom GPT that can write something in my voice if I need like a blog post or an email that just kind of will take in information that I give it, kind of spit it out, and honestly like reason with itself a little bit, and then spit out a final product. And it honestly doesn't need too much tweaking sometimes. I have another custom GPT for generating and researching Etsy product ideas. I have another custom GPT for basically researching a guest for my podcast, The Financial Independence Show, and like kind of unearthing some interesting questions or things that they've mentioned before. And for those wondering, a custom GPT is like, if you're on ChatGPT, you just type in like, hey, I'm interviewing Nick Loper today. Tell me some interesting things about him. A custom GPT is basically just a string of queries that you have saved. So it's like, hey, search up Nick Loper. What are his like top episodes? What are some interesting things that he doesn't talk about too often? And you can add as many queries as you want, as many kind of actions onto this string of instructions. That's basically a custom GPT. And I was way too late to this game, and they're awesome.
Okay, is this something you like would save in the sidebar of ChatGPT rather than having to punch in those kind of priming prompts each time?
Yes, you do need the paid version, the $20 per month pro version of ChatGPT, and then like in your profile at the top right, it'll unlock, and you'll see like there's a bunch of options that unlock with that tier.
Okay.
But custom
Okay.
GPTs is one of them. I don't think there's any maximum number. I think you can create an unlimited number of custom GPTs for all different use cases.
Interesting. Okay. No, I haven't played around with that. I've just gone through the,
Maybe
one
I heard a
specific
guest
use
mention
case.
it then. Yeah.
Yeah. The one that I would probably need to create is like take this article and and turn it into a compelling YouTube script. That's like kind of the bottleneck in creating more video content. It's like we've got this huge body of library of content on the site, but it's like, how do we translate some of that over to video and do it in a way that is native and natural to YouTube and not just reading a blog post? I don't think that
Yeah.
would necessarily play very well. And so we had, a series of prompts like, you are Nick Loper from Side Hustle Nation, and this is your task. Do you understand? Yes. And like, okay,
Yes.
here's the copy. Can you turn this in, and don't include blah, blah, blah. It's okay to use some of the same phrasing, but it doesn't have to be word for word. Do you understand? Yes. Okay. And go from there. But like to have that saved, I could see how that would be a time saver.
Oh yeah, huge time saver.
All right. And last but not least, your favorite book from the last 12 months.
One that I didn't think was going to have such a profound impact on me, because it was really dense. When I started reading it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so boring. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. And it's all about human psychology and why people tend to make certain decisions. It's like really interesting if you're a marketer, and just like kind of like the gambling lottery mentality, like loss aversion. There's a whole bunch of really, really good stuff in there, and stuff that we as marketers can use to our advantage.
Interesting. I have heard of this book for a long time. It's been out for a while, but have never cracked it open. So Thinking
It is dense.
Fast
It
and
is
Slow.
dense. It's not like a fun read, but there's just like a lot of info in there. There's a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah, you would layer this on with like an influence by Robert Cialdini type of thing, where it's, how do we tap into these psychological benefits or psychological triggers to improve our business?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, very cool. We'll link that up in the show notes as well, sidehustlenation.com/Cody. Now, you've got a million different side hustles. Like, what's next for you? What are you focused on? What kind of projects you got going on? More real estate builds? What's new?
Real estate been slowing down on. Honestly, our core focus has been Gold City Ventures and building that out. We have some exciting stuff that I can't announce yet, but just know that we have some exciting projects in the works. Constantly improving, building our community, making the content better and easier to follow. So yeah, most of the new stuff for me, Nick, is Gold City Ventures, which honestly, if you were to ask me this question years ago when we first became friends, I probably would have named 10 new side hustles I was going to try. I was doing way too much. And honestly, I think I spread myself too thin. So now I've kind of re-narrowed my focus into a couple core things that I'm really good at, and just focusing all my time and energy into those. So yeah, doing more on Gold City Ventures, continuing the podcast, the Financial Independence Show, and that's the main focuses for me right now.
Very good. Well, we'll link up all of those resources, included the ePrintables course, at sidehustlenation.com/Cody. Thank you for sharing your insight. This is, again, very inspiring. Maybe hopefully you get off the sidelines and into the Etsy game a little bit myself. Big thanks to our sponsors for helping make this content free for everyone. You can hit up sidehustlenation.com/deals for all the latest offers from our sponsors in one place. Thank you for supporting the advertisers that support the show. That's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're finding value in the show, the greatest compliment is to share it with a friend. So help spread the word. Fire off that text message to somebody excited about planting those little digital money seeds, building extra income streams. Until next time, let's go out there and make something happen. And I'll catch you in the next edition of The Side Hustle Show. Hustle on.